All right, well, we've done our listening, we've done a frequency response test on it and found that the stock realistic MC-1201 is actually a pretty nice speaker in terms of frequency response, and honestly it didn't sound bad either. And that is super surprising given how cheaply built this thing is and what the drivers look like. The crossover, crazy, you know, it's just the woofer driven direct with a little capacitor in series with the original tweeter. So today what I'm doing is I'm going to go ahead and put these speakers together, and I'm going to show you kind of what I started with, which is pretty cool. I think you'll find this interesting. The old speakers like this, they have these literally just flathead screws that hold terminals on. So I wanted to put 5-way binding posts on there that would accept banana jacks. So I did get these from Parts Express. You can get these things pretty much anywhere, but I got them from Parts Express. What I found was that if I take out the actual binding post itself, super cool, it actually, without any hassle at all, goes right in here. So all I did was I took out the flathead screw and then just threaded that right in there. Super cool. So when I come back from this side and I do mount my crossover, I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, use the little nuts and lock washers to attach the terminals in there. I know that there's talk on, you know, some of the other channels, YouTube channels, about magnetism and what effect it may have on the signal path. And so these binding posts from Parts Express are actually, surprisingly, they're not magnetic. They're gold plated, but I don't know what they're made out of, maybe brass or copper. But there is a little bit of steel on them. So there's like a washer that, you know, keeps it from diving into the cabinet when you tighten down the nut. That is steel, apparently welded together on the studs and then all gold plated. And also the terminal ends that you know, go onto that 5-way binding stud, those are steel too. Oh, the little tiny nut and washer are as well, if someone were to be concerned about it. Let's see, the ends, the terminal ends that I put on there for the speakers, they are not magnetic, so it's kind of cool. Now, speaker drivers, yeah, I've got those set and ready to go. So we've got this Dayton Designer Series woofer. This is the model DS215-8. And this is a pretty nice looking little speaker. Interesting. Those are not magnetic. Cool. Well, anyway, nice little 8-inch woofer, and it is considerably larger than the original. All right, more power handling, greater output capability. So that's the main point behind this, and it reaches a little bit lower in the bass region. I don't know if it's going to be equally as flat as in terms of frequency response, but I guess we'll find out. All right, what's next? So we've got our woofer, and we've got our tweeter, which is this Peerless 1-inch textile dome tweeter, and that'll fit right into this hole without much modification. Just a few little notches to make clearance for these plastic things here. The woofer, that drops right in there. It's held on by 5 screws. I don't know why the Designer Series they use 5 screws, but they do. The crossover board, I'm just going to mount it directly to the back panel, and I'll probably use a little bit of hot glue and a few little shorty screws so it doesn't, you know, go through the back of the back panel. I've also got to insulate them using sound deadening pads. So I use a Silas sound deadening pad, and these are pre-cut sheets and they fit in there really nice. I mean, don't need any glue or anything, they just stick. All right, so I've gone over the tweeter, the crossover, the wires, the terminals, the woofer, the sound deadening, Insulation. It does have some fiberglass insulation in it from the factory, and I'm going to be putting some polyester, polyfill type insulation in there. It's sheet form, but I'll be putting it in there too. Yeah. Oh, acoustic felt. I've got some acoustic felt for the front, and for that, I'm going to have to trim it to make sure that I can still get my grills in place, and then just adhere it with some adhesive, and then trim open the holes, and that's all it takes for that. Enjoy the video. second speaker here, all ready to go. That is to start on. I've got my other speaker, that first one, it's all set up. I got the felt on the front gluing. Just got to trim those openings, put the drivers in there, do a little more trimming, mount the drivers, plug them in. That speaker will be done. And pretty much it'll be rinse and repeat on this other one. All right, well, I'm making some progress here.